I've come to think of clarity as the mother skill in leadership, the skill that makes all others come alive. So you may be wondering, why did we start this year's study of human leadership with a focus on vulnerability? For two reasons. By my lights, vulnerability is the better starting point because it requires a leader to examine herself first. The awareness that follows enables clarity. If I'm truly honest with myself and others about my abilities and intentions, it clears away the clutter of ego, defensiveness, and hidden agendas. And in this clear space, clarity can develop and do its best. The second reason, we are turning our attention this month from the essential leadership function to demonstrate care with vulnerability, empathy, and good humor to what skills are needed to provide support. We're moving from highly relational skills to ones that are more practical. And clarity is to support what vulnerability is to care, the necessary starting point. Without clarity, the other support skills will flounder. For those who like to read ahead, those are creating accountability and delivering feedback. Providing support is a leadership responsibility that brings work performance into the mix. So floundering leaders are a no-go here. We begin with demonstrating care because healthy relationships at work are the price of entry. Now we need to expand our view to include what makes it possible for the employees we care for to be successful. They need support from a leader. This is the Well Led Podcast, and I'm your host, Kate Johnson. One of the reasons I delight in and like to start with the word's etymology is that it often gives me a new way to visualize what the word means and what the action or object being named can do for us. And a study of clarity's roots does not disappoint. Naturally, it is connected to the same roots that give us the word clear. But did you know that the Latin source claritas means brightness? I immediately picture a leader turning on a light. Clarity is, in this way, the ability to cast a light on a topic or situation, to make it visible, and by doing so, make it doable. I go on to picture a lamp with 3 panes, or facets. Now, this is obviously not a modern electrical lamp, but stay with me. Each facet is dedicated to illuminating an important leadership consideration: purpose, communication, and relationships. For today's notes, I want to work my way through each of these, examining what they entail and how a leader, how you, can create each type of clarity. Along the way, I hope to also shed some light on why these are important for leading well and providing support. We begin with clarity of purpose. Purpose is a popular workplace subject, knowing your why, connecting employees to the mission, purpose-driven people and companies. We love to talk about purpose. Why do you think that is? I think we keep returning to the idea of purpose for 2 reasons. The first, we lack clarity here. This means we have to keep returning to purpose because we miss the mark. And this happens because talking about purpose isn't the same thing as speaking to purpose. Said more clearly, talking about the concept doesn't create the same impact as making purpose visible and doable. The second reason, it's really important. We should be discussing purpose all the time. So let me pull these 2 reasons together. If purpose is important, but we struggle to be clear about it, then we need to provide means to help leaders move from talking conceptually to illuminating purpose. The good news? There is a wildly simple question to assist you in gaining clarity of purpose. The purpose of what? And the better news? There is a clear path for leaders to follow when it comes to answering this question. We need to know the purpose of the self, of the organization, and of the people. So you, the work, and your team. The even better news, you can walk this path with a simple exercise. Ask and answer these questions. What is my purpose as the leader of this team? What is this company trying to accomplish and for whom? What does this team do that directly supports and advances the larger mission? And how do we talk about that in terms of purpose? You will need to do this repeatedly to revisit these questions over time, both to confirm your understanding and to refine it as you and your circumstances change. But once you have even your earliest answers, they become not so much a script, but the bywords you have at your disposal to guide decisions, craft messages, and even provide feedback. This is how you make purpose clear for yourself and others, and how it truly becomes the underlying theme of all you do as a leader. Clarity of communication involves two considerations. I think of these as two expressions of consistency. The first, internal consistency. This is communication that is aligned with your purpose, values, actions, and what you've communicated in the past. It is also valid, credible, and factual. The second is experienced consistency, or how people experience your communication. And we want people to experience it as straightforward, reliable, comprehensible, and trustworthy. We know that communication is a critical leadership skill and responsibility that impacts change, productivity, and engagement. And yet, Gallup has shared recently that employees are emotionally detached, with 51% of U.S. workers actively looking for or open to new jobs. And in a recent study, they asked thousands of employees for the response to the question, what's missing from your current work experience that would make you feel more connected to your employer? Their analysis uncovered 4 themes affecting engagement: organizational culture, leadership transparency, resource investment, and performance management. Leadership transparency has an obvious connection to our conversation about clarity, but it is not the only one of these themes that points to low or no clarity. When we look at what these employees shared with Gallup, we can see a systemic problem. 32% described their workplace as isolated or impersonal, without the conditions to help them feel connected. 25% of those surveyed say their companies underinvest in people, pay, tools, or staffing, and they view cost-cutting as a message about how much or how little their work is valued. 14% report lack of feedback, recognition, or development opportunities as a factor contributing to their disengagement. And all of this is in addition to the 29% of employees who report a dearth of clear, consistent communication from leaders. Each of these themes represents a workforce need, and these needs can be addressed, at least in part, by clarity in communication. Again, transparency is implicit here, and when we understand that leadership clarity encompasses clear communication about what we're trying to accomplish and exactly why those are the priorities, we can start to see how to influence these themes for the better. We're going to talk about connectedness in just a moment, so let me defer on the matter of organizational culture for now. But resource investment and performance management are topics that leaders should and must communicate without ceasing. Understand that your communication may not always share information that your employees like. Resource investment is certainly an area where this will be the case at times. But withholding or delaying communication is not an option. And by sharing clear, consistent messages about when, what, and why certain resource decisions are being made, well, by doing that, you're supporting your people. And few things directly support employees more than communication about performance expectations, formative feedback, and meaningful recognition. Each of these depends on clarity. Our last facet is clarity of relationships. This includes clear boundaries, connections, and channels. Having relationship boundaries means drawing clear and appropriate lines in interpersonal matters. This can include when you are available to your team, as well as when they can be reasonably available to you. It addresses the bounds you set on your own vulnerability and your empathy. And, like all of our conversations about demonstrating care, you have to consider both sides of the relationship. What are your boundaries and what are your employees'? You can begin delineating boundaries with the question, how do I relate to others as a leader? Leaders also create clarity of relationships when they seek to understand connections. There is a soft echo of team purpose here. How is the team connected to the larger mission? Beyond that, you will also want to survey the environment to identify how you and your team interact with and support the rest of the organization, and to seek opportunities for new connections. To do this, ask yourself, what is our role in relation to the larger system? What do we touch, directly impact, or have the ability to influence? Finally, getting clear about channels means you educate yourself and your team about how to work within the organization, knowing the right people to contact, the relevant policies or standard procedures to efficiently get work done. You can think about this as organizational acumen or industry or professional knowledge. You work with your team to answer the question, how do we get things done here or within this specific field? Relationship clarity, understanding boundaries, connections, and channels, and involving your employees in the process lets you address employees' concerns about being isolated. And, like purpose and communication, when you have clarity in your relationships, you support your team with the conditions to help them feel connected. Clarity is the beginning of the practical support your employees need to be successful. It creates trust and understanding. It minimizes confusion and uncertainty. It increases efficiency and capacity. Nurturing the facets of clarity allows you to make purpose and priorities visible, to deliver clear communication and expectations, and illuminate relationships and connections. The latest companion toolkit is now available. Good humor, tools and techniques for sustainable, enjoyable leadership. Check the show notes for a link to request your copy. If this episode was useful, you can support the show by following or subscribing on your preferred podcast platform, or by sharing it with someone who's navigating similar leadership challenges. We'll be back next Tuesday with an episode featuring other voices sharing thoughts on clarity. And later this season, we'll explore the role and importance of accountability in leadership. As always, if you want updates on episodes, resources, and upcoming offerings from 123 Limited, you can join the newsletter at any time. Thank you again for listening.